As you guys know, my name is Ola from living in Kigali, and this is Mike from Rammteck, and we're just going to do a quick Q&A about rammed earth. Of course, I already know what it is, but just for the public, we're going to just go through these questions I have listed here to educate people about what rammed earth really is. Okay.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
what exactly is rammed earth, and how does it differ from traditional concrete or brick construction?
Okay, so there's so many reasons to use rammed earth, but like you're going to hear my passion as we go through this meeting, but I can really sell this well. Okay, so my main thing with rammed earth is obviously protecting yourself from the outside environment and talking about fluctuating temperature outside. So you wake up, it's cool outside, it's a bit cold, you can't go outside. By lunchtime, it's too hot, and in the evening again, you want to be outside again. But now what rammed earth will do for that house is just stabilize that temperature 24/7. So it's not going to change. It's going to probably go up slightly in the summer, and obviously down a little bit in the winter. But the midday change, you won't feel that temperature change. So in the morning, your house is nice and cozy. Lunchtime, it's cool, and in the evening, it's cozy again. So it just stabilizes temperature completely. So we've seen it in the hottest climates. We've seen it in cold climates. It just works perfectly. So passive heating and cooling is my number one winner. Obviously, the aesthetics, it's beautiful. I mean, you can't, it's earth, it's been cut out of the earth, you know what I mean? It's just, so obviously the beauty and the texture and the like the warmth that it almost exudes, because it's so strong and thermally and heavy and solid, you're in that feeling of being in a real solid house.
Yeah. So, I mean, you basically talk about, the durability and the insulation about it, but how do you explain? I mean, it is coming from the earth, but how does it differ from traditional like concrete? Because that's what other people acknowledge. That's what they use all the time when it comes to building. That's what they're familiar with, especially in hotter climates, here in Africa and things like that,
Yeah. So the biggest issue in Africa is obviously the higher temperatures as we go north, and the easiest way to combat that is with either insulated walls or rammed earth. So the reason why I go for rammed earth again is because it takes a long time to heat up a piece of rammed earth. So the temperature outside is 12 hours behind the actual temperature of the walls. So it gives you that superior insulation, whereas bricks don't give you that. So, I mean, you go to any Ghana house at lunchtime, you don't want to be inside. In the morning, it's cold or cool. It's just, so obviously that's where the insulation is good. And the reason why rammed earth is better than concrete or bricks or blocks is a thing called thermal mass. So thermal mass is the ability of a let's say a substance, or the ability of the walls, let's call it rammed earth. So thermal mass in a wall is the ability of the wall to hold on to temperature, where it doesn't lose temperature easily, it doesn't collect temperature easily, it just is constant. It takes a long time to change that temperature. So that's what thermal mass is all about. Concrete blocks give you almost zero thermal mass. And so your normal house in most Africa places is built with a concrete block, which has got no thermal mass. So you'll always find it's a hot box by lunchtime.
That's excellent. Yeah, absolutely. That's excellent. How long can rammed earth, home last compared to like other building materials?
It's a good question, because 1,000 years ago, there's buildings standing that are 1,000 years old, and they weren't even using cement to stabilize the sand. So we do a thing called stabilized rammed earth, and that's so that we can build something that will last for hundreds and hundreds of years. It will outlive any of us and our grandparents, because you're building rock. So the type of rammed earth we do is we almost build like a sandstone.
I want to say like how the ancestors used to build back in the days, right? The mud house, But I like to look at rammed earth like it's the modern day version of a house or a hut. And they usually last like forever. And it's, as ancestors were onto something when they were using, mud houses, because you go in there or a hut and it's not so hot in those hot climates. That's the reason why they were using it in the first place.
Absolutely. And obviously it's abundant, so there's sand everywhere. So the purists, the rammed earth purists, if they hear me say I'm putting cement in my rammed earth, they all go, oh, it's terrible, you can't do it, you can't call it rammed earth anymore. you know what, we still go through the same process as if we were ramming with no cement, but obviously we're adding cement. It gives us that water durability. And again, you know, you don't want your walls dusting off on the inside of your house and things like that. So we must find ways of stabilizing it properly, and that will last thousands of years. And our cement content is lower than 5%. So it's not a huge amount in these walls, less than 5%. Yeah.
Right, it's not at all. One of the things that people do not know, because, you know, they don't know, they're not familiar, it's still sort of new, even though it's been around forever and ever, is rammed earth more expensive or more affordable than traditional methods, would you say?
It's an awesome question. And I tell you, so every client we ask me the same, oh, but you're going to build me cheap a house because you're using sand. Well, yes and no. So my material cost will be lower because I'm using local materials, but my labor cost is going to be higher. So it takes a lot of people to mix rammed earth, to put it into the shutter work, to set up shutter work. So it's more labor intensive, or I'd say it's the same intensity of labor as compared to normal brickwork and plastering and painting, etc. So what you save on material, you're going to spend a little bit more on labor, basically.
I see. So it's the labor, that's where the expense goes into, but not the actual material. Okay, that makes sense, because it's the technique to it, right?
Yeah. So it's the perfect building for Africa. If I'm sorry, just to say, it's the perfect building for Africa because you employ more people, so you're putting money into people instead of putting money into materials.
Absolutely, I like that. Well, this. I'm getting to my next most favorite question is, you know, construction and design for Wasami Villa. So, what is the role of Rammteck playing in the construction of my project, Wasami Villas?
Okay, so basically, so because we're building on stilts, which is very unusual, but it's going to be totally mind-blowing for that area. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
And we have designed, we're in the process of designing a specialized wall where it's very lightweight as far as rammed earth is concerned, but it will have an insulated panel. So it's basically insulated walls that we're installing. And obviously it's going to give you that rammed earth feeling. You're going to get the whole thermal dynamics. You're going to get all of that from that. But it's the first time we've built on not a stilt sort of structure before, but obviously we'll have it engineered and we'll make sure it works. But it's just building these, and then obviously we'll take the house to completion, you know, through obviously till the end of the project. But basically off-grid, exciting. I mean, the view, it's going to be crazy.
I'm so excited. I just can't wait. And everybody had the response, you know, from everyone, you know, seeing this type of sustainable building in Rwanda. They're super excited. We are not the first, you know, rammed earth. There's another location, actually, Lake Muhazi, but on the opposite side of my plot, called Ola Morin-Muhammed. And they used rammed earth, but it's still so new, you know, that you don't see it around. And hopefully with us also coming in and doing this will hopefully be a trend or something to sustainable design, because it's just like a no-brainer, right?
Absolutely. And I think in that, obviously in that sort of setting, normal people would, or people would use wood to build that kind of structure. It would be a wood cabin. But now I think it's a double winner that we're doing it with rammed earth. I mean, it's just going to be,
I'm so excited.
It'll be there forever, which is awesome.
I have this question. What is like the biggest misconception about rammed earth in modern design, do you think?
So as soon as you
on it a little bit too,
no, maybe not in modern design, but maybe as far as client is concerned, the misconceptions of rammed. So I get a lot of that where people say, "Oh, I don't want a mud house.
I don't want to." Right.
And it's like it's so far from a mud house, you know. And a lot of people, sort of tag mud house or earth houses with poverty. It's I know it's sad because it's the reality. But it's such an upgraded way of building compared to bricks, you know.
Absolutely, and we're about to change that concept. You know, we're going to change that mindset with us doing something luxurious and also sustainable in Rwanda as well. What would you say the timeline would look like for the Wasami project using rammed earth from start to finish? Realistically, if the people was right there, and people are not making, you know, because, you know, we have the options of doing per construction phase. For some people who are ready to go, they place the money, So if we have all the funds, what would you say the timeline is to build?
I'd say 5 to 6 months. I mean, they're not huge villas.
Yeah.
And obviously, if we take on 3 of them at a time or something like that, it would be a 5 to 6 month build. It's not long at all, you know.
It's not long at all.
I mean, your foundations are basic because you're just putting in supports for your columns and your steel work or whatever. So you get through some of the stuff quite quickly.
Yeah, that's very good to know. So can you share, because this is the part that I am very excited about, not only you coming from South Africa to build here, but the training part, of Rammteck, you really empower others and just inspire them and let them know that this type of way of building is actually available. So can you share some of your plans for hiring and training Rwandans?
So sure.
That's what we are going to do for my project.
Absolutely. So our whole business model 15 years ago was designed around training local communities to build their own houses. And or to build their own schools was the original. And the idea was so that people have an ownership or the buy-in in what they do. So if we come to your area, we hire people from your area and they actually build the units. You must know the kind of handover that you're giving into the local community.
Absolutely.
So we've specialized with that all over South Africa. We've trained over 1,000 people over the last 15 years in rammed earth technology. As far as taken them from foundation phase all the way to the final end of the building. And it's normally local people. We bring in maybe 1 or 2 supervisors or people that can help them achieve their goal. And that's how we work. Yeah. That's how
I absolutely love that. And this is something that you've practiced like all within Africa or even outside of Africa?
Absolutely. So we're doing exactly the same thing in Ghana. We've already trained about 35 people on this project at the moment. We've got sort of a continuous stream of about 12, 15 staff. So wherever we've done this, all over South Africa, wherever we've gone, it's minimal top level like supervisors or people or trainers, and then the actual community build the houses. So that's where it's such a success story, because at the end you say to all these guys, look what you did, and they go, oh yeah, we did.
Right, absolutely. I love it. I think that's so empowering as well. Why do you think it's important to use local sourced materials for labor for a project like this?
Okay, so a project like this, we don't want to break the bank. So it's not an idea of making millions. It's an idea of building a sustainable place for the right price. Absolutely. And that's difficult to find these days. As soon as you talk green, people think, oh, it's going to be millions and millions. That's what it does. And a lot of the green builders obviously take advantage of it and charge, the legit prices. But because we're keeping our labor, we're not importing people to build the building. So first of all, the labor is available and it's affordable, the actual local.
That is what, really excited me about hiring you guys to come on board, because, we do have people here that have, that know the rammed earth, but it is very expensive because it's, a new technique, and I don't know, maybe the labor or whatever the case is, but because you've been in the game for a long time, actually how it works. So how to creatively bring those costs down so we can price at a very competitive, rate for these villas. So I'm very, very excited about that. Do you see this project, and I already know the answer to this question, but do you see this project inspiring future sustainable development across Rwanda? That's a very big thing right now in Rwanda is sustainable design. There's actually a big project, 600 acres, right behind me here. It's called Kinyinya, and it's called Green City Project. And all 600 acres is going to be a brand new neighborhood that is absolutely based on sustainable design, green. Yes. So I feel like us coming in and also doing this by Lake Muhazi, while this project initiative is about to begin. I mean, we're part of that movement of sustainable design, going green. And Rwanda, the government, they really approve of this. They incentivize things like this. It's very exciting. I've already answered your question, but do you see do you see this project inspiring future sustainable design?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously designers need installers. And if we can come in there and train people to do this, I promise you, you're going to find a few stars there that just say, you know what, let me do this. And they'll be able to take it up by themselves by the time they've run through a whole project with us. So it's very, it's gonna just go crazy. And obviously when people see it, touch it, feel it, they're like, oh yes, let's do this, you know?
Yeah, I can't wait. Just even the colors, it's so warm and inviting.
Yeah.
Just something that warmth, you know, I don't want to go into a house where it's concrete and all white and just, you know, it just, you know, this is a home. This is a habitat. It should feel warm.
I want to show you something. It's just some soil. It's a piece of soil. Okay,
Oh
so
my God.
it's just sand from Dawn's site
Are you serious?
yeah,
It looks
and it's
polished. It looks like a marble almost.
yeah, so it's just a ball of sand. No cement, nothing. It's just a ball of sand. We polish it like that. Well, we don't polish it. It's just a process that we work it like that.
You work with, look like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy, and that's just complete sand. So it's hard. It's, you know, it's crazy. Yeah. So it shows you what's possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so lovely. Well, you're very, very passionate about your work, obviously. You know, that looks so amazing. I'm so excited. I can't wait for you guys to be done. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to come so we can start this project. I'm hoping that we will break ground by September.
Wow.
By then, by then we should make one more sale. That's what we're waiting for. There's a couple of people who are interested. Actually 3 that Dawn had mentioned. So once we lock that in, you know, I'm hoping that we can break ground and start on this project right away, because you know, it's important. If people want to see that this is actually happening, I think that will also, you know, get people excited about it. What would you say to Rwandan architects and contractors who are curious about rammed earth as a career or design path? That is my last question for today.
You know what? So 15 years ago, we started Rammteck, and it was a little bit early for the market. So it was still very new. And I promise you, we've put a lot of groundwork in. And now people know about rammed earth. And now they're starting to really look towards it and say, you know what, let's build sustainable. Everyone's thinking about saving energy, saving money, etc., etc. So it's definitely, it's gonna go like wildfire. So I'd say architects and even contractors must get on board quickly, because it's definitely the way of the future. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you, Mike. You see, I told you this won't take very long. These are the questions. Hopefully we have answered, you know, curious minds about, you know, earth, what it takes, and I look forward to collaborating with you, and also you collaborating with the Rwandan architects and local contractors that are here.
Awesome.
Well, training them, educating them about this. You know, this is going to be a moment, so I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Lola.
All right.
Have a good evening. Cheers.